Hello and welcome to the Work for Change podcast. My name is Jean, spelled like Jean.
And my name is John with a silent H. You guys have made it to episode number 40 of the podcast. Thanks for sticking along with us.
And welcome back again to these wonderful people who are sitting next to me who are not talking.
Hello. Hello. I'm Sharissa with a CH.
Oh,
and I'm Sam. Spelled like
Goodness.
Sam.
So these are our girlfriends. Sorry, I always do
what?
that.
I don't
Sure
have
is-
a girlfriend.
Sharissa's my
Sarah
girl-
gets really mad anytime my girlfriend is brought up.
Yeah.
Because she's like,
I'm
"You
like,
have a girlfriend?"
who is that?
She thinks it's a funny joke every single time she
It
tells
is.
it. I don't agree.
Oh, I got
and
2 months.
Sam is Jean's fiance. So we did a podcast, I don't know how many weeks ago it was, but we had them on and a lot of people enjoyed it. So we were like, let's do it again. So
Was that
that's what
4th
we're
of
doing.
July weekend?
This is
Yeah, it's
This is the
exactly
third time.
1 month.
Is it the third time? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, it is.
This is the third time.
Because
Yeah.
we did Memorial
Wow.
Day
So
too.
you guys are honorary, definitely like co-hosts now.
Yeah, well,
not
people-
even guests really.
No, it's not guests. These
Jeez,
are co-hosts. That means they get the same family treatment
That's true.
that we give each other.
So what that means is Sean's gonna yell at you. So today we had.
I'm used to it.
So it's funny because today we had band practice, right? We played for Sunday church and stuff, and I like messed up the first part of the song. You know, it was practice, and John just looks at me. He's like, "Dude." Right? He just not like polite. And then one of the guitarists messed up. He's like, "Hey, you know what? We're actually this is what you're supposed to do." And I was just like, "Oh, I see how it is."
No. So hold on. First of all, we did a part. You messed it up, and we stopped practice. Said, "All right, let's try it again." And then you messed it up again. And so that's when I was like, "Dude." And then that guy messed up his first time, and I went, "All right, let's just try this instead." And it worked totally fine.
Yeah,
It's a first mistake versus a second mistake kind of thing. I have a 1 mistake grace period.
It was
And then
funny.
it is just
the
done.
sound guy came up to me during like right before the second service, and he was like, "I just found out that Jean's your brother." And I was like, "Yeah, that's why he's so mean to me at practice." But like, imagine if he didn't know that, and he would see how we react, because we're brothers, right? We bicker, we yell at each other, and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's pretty funny. I thought that was funny. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to talk about, especially we have 2 lovely ladies here and John that have competed multiple times. It's 6 times between each of you, right? Mm-hmm. Five times
in one.
Yeah, 5 times in one. And so
I'll just say 6 between.
yeah, 6 between you guys. It sounds way cooler. So I wanted to talk about So recently I made a video about Stephanie Buttermore, who is a content creator on YouTube, and she is going all in. Okay, so just to kind of explain what that means, for her, she competed and she's struggling with like unbelievable hunger, insatiable hunger. And so she competed, she lost a lot of weight, got very lean, and during that whole thing she had this insatiable hunger. And then she ended up trying to do a reverse diet, right? And she gained a little bit of weight, but again she was still dealing with this insatiable hunger. And then now and then she went on a mini cut, and now she's trying to go all in with eating. She's eating like between 4,000 and 5,000 calories a day to try and reverse these side effects. Also, one of the side effects, this is kind of what I wanted to talk about, one of the side effects that she dealt with being so lean was, what was it called again?
Amenorrhea.
Amenorrhea, which apparently is the loss of your period as a woman for apparently being too lean, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was just curious I know this is kind of a sensitive subject, but if it's something you've ever dealt with, and like what your thoughts are with competing as a woman, and you know the choice that you made to compete, and maybe why you've decided not to compete anymore, and what kind of plays into that decision. So if you want to go first, Sharissa.
Sure. I dealt with that. I dealt with amenorrhea because females, I don't know if you know this, but maybe your listeners do or don't, but females, our bodies depend on fat stores to be able to have like our cycle. So when we get down to that low of body fat, we completely lose our menstrual cycle. And so every show that I did, I lost mine because I just got down to such a low body fat percentage.
So the first time it happened,
Mm-hmm.
what's going through your head there? Did you know it was going to come?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I didn't know because I think every female's body has a different like set point for what is like too lean for them. So I had heard of it, and plus my studies in kinesiology, like there's a thing called the female athlete like triad. So like a lot of times endurance athletes, that's just something that is like normal to happen to endurance athletes. So I kind of expected that going into competing, getting to such a low body fat. I just didn't know when it would happen or if like where my set point was. But every show that I ended up doing, I did lose my cycle. And for me, it was probably about a month before I would hit the stage, or a month or two, that it stopped. And my thoughts were I expected it, but I also wasn't at such a low body fat that I thought it was like unhealthy. I just expected it because I knew and figured it would like come back. But still, it's not something that's healthy to sustain for a long amount of time.
What about you?
Well, I only competed once. And I don't know really if I dealt with that. Like, I don't know if I was ever too lean because I've only had one experience dieting down that much. And I'm a small human being. I'm only 5 foot. And so when I started CrossFit, and I was like kind of chubby for like my size. And I was like, I just want to lose weight. I'll go a couple times. And so I only was working out consistently for like a year. And I was like, oh, I want to do a bikini show. This is it. So I dieted for 6 months, which is such a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I was miserable. But I don't know, because I lost like 30 pounds. But I don't think I was at an unhealthy weight for my size. It was just too small for, I think, me in the average to be like, a steady, this is your healthy size.
So you were working out for like a year, you said? What was what made you be like, oh, I think I want to compete? That's something that I feel like is a goal that I want to have for myself.
Well, I think like through Instagram, just began, and I thought it was just a like an app to like do filters. So if you go, actually don't.
Go back and look at Sam.
Don't go check the Sam
back.
archives.
But then after that, like, fitness Instagram started to become a thing, and I would follow these girls, and I don't follow like any of them anymore, I don't think. And they would like do bikini shows, and I'm like, wow, like that's amazing. Like, they look amazing. I want to do that. And I always thought like I can do that, like I want to do that. And so then my whole life, I was in college during the time, and then I didn't know anything about nutrition, didn't know anything about fitness. I would go to like the gym and like work out. Probably doing 5-pound dumbbell curls, And then I was like, you know what? And then I was just trying to join CrossFit, and one of the coaches there had done figure, and I was like, I'm really interested in it. And so then she coached me through it, and it was a really good experience. Like, I learned a lot about myself, but if I was someone who saw me, I would say, you're not ready, like mentally and physically. Like, when I look back at photos, I didn't have like any muscle. I wasn't working out that heavy, like lifting that heavy, and I was only working out for such a short period of time, not even focusing on like muscle building before that. Just trying to like lose a couple pounds. So.
And so what, like you hearing that, Sharissa, you competed 5 times. And when did you decide that you like wanted to compete, and did you feel like you were ready when you did your first show?
I got the idea to compete because 2 people that I went to college with that were in my major with me, as well as a girl that I was working with after college, competed. And so from these people that were like in my life, it interested me, and I had been working out for quite a few years. I'd studied kinesiology, so I was like, oh, like that'd be a cool way to challenge myself. And it'd be also like the mixture of, I grew up dancing, so like the fact of being on stage combined with like my love for fitness was like, oh, this would be something that I think I would like to try. And so, yeah, then I tried it. And for me, it was just, I wanted to challenge myself. It was super scary, but I had been working out for a few years, and it was because people that I had seen like literally right in front of me had done it. And so it interested me to see how they were doing it. Because one of the girls that I had followed that was doing it, she was actually following like macros. Like, that's where I found macros. I saw that she was like eating Oreos, but then she was competing and looking very fit for competing, but yet eating Oreos because like I had seen thought, it's all like tilapia, broccoli, brown rice. So I dove into the bodybuilding and the macros thing kind of like all at the same time.
So I have never competed, and I have 0 plans to. And
Can you imagine John competing though?
No.
Oh my God.
I could. He probably would be like so grumpy after day one.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I have zero plans.
You-
so
if
don't
you
worry,
could-
guys.
If
Yeah.
you competed, the marriage would be off for sure. And then Sam would have to shave your like body like 40 times before.
So it's weird how like how exposure to something normalizes it, and that could be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. Because when I was in high school, and I would hear about bodybuilding shows, it was like, you're killing yourself for a stage? Okay, like, nope, no thank you. That doesn't seem interesting at all to me. And then as I started getting into fitness outside of high school, a couple years out, when you think of, I want to get fit again, you think of 24-hour fitness. You think of bodybuilding. You think of whatever. What is the extreme of bodybuilding? Like, what is the top what is the goal for bodybuilding in the sense of bodybuilding? Performing. Shows. That is what you do. And so then the exposure I had to it was like, oh, well, I guess this is it. This is fitness. And then when you started doing it and I started being around more bodybuilding type people, I was just like, well, I guess, yeah, okay, this is normal. And all my friends who were not doing that journey were like, this is dumb, dude. Like, are you serious? You know, like this is, there's no way this is healthy. And then now that I am in CrossFit, and I can say the same thing for CrossFit, but like now that I'm doing this as my main thing, I don't want to do anything that's going to affect my athletic performance. Like, I don't want to do anything to ruin that. Like, I want to keep on getting stronger and faster and keep on going as much as I can and more
Stronger,
mobile
bigger, faster.
right now.
Yeah.
Mobility needs to be my biggest focus. But now I'm back to that, like, oh my gosh, that is so rough, you know? Like, and so it's crazy just how proximity normalizes extremes. And again, like I said, I can, where I'm at now, people probably think like, oh, you work out 5 days or 6 days a week. And I remember when you first started talking about, like, when you first started doing CrossFit and bodybuilding, you're like, oh, I'll probably just do both of them. And people were like, you're going to work out twice a day? You're going to ruin your body. And it's like, that's because that's not what you do. Like, you know, maybe 2 days every once in a while during an extreme time, but you don't maintain it for a long time. But then in the CrossFit world, it's like 3 workouts, 4 workouts, 5 workouts. Like, these athletes are like just going all. And so it's like, again, it's like how proximity normalizes extremes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find it very interesting.
I'm curious, Jean, did you ever, was there ever a time where you were like, maybe I will compete? Like, were you ever actually thinking about maybe doing it?
I was maybe thinking about possibly doing it the day when I went to your competition.
And
because,
met me.
And met Sam. Because there were,
That's why.
there's a lot of people passionate about it. And passion is contagious. So when you're around it, when you're around an environment of a lot of people passionate about a single thing, it's really easy to catch on to that. But like I said, that was the same day that I met Sam. When I met Sam was when I started doing CrossFit. And so then it was just such a fleeting thought that maybe potentially, and here's the unhealthy side of it. I thought I can compete to get healthy.
Yeah.
And that's not how you do it. That's like saying I'm going to go to the hospital to get healthy if you're already healthy. Like, if you're okay and then you start hanging out in the hospitals all the time, you're probably going to catch some, like, superbug. Like, right? Like, that's not where you go. If you're healthy, you just do healthy things. You do regular things. You don't go to the hospital. And so I think for me, for a moment, I thought about it. But then that was it.
One thing I do want to say and make clear is, like, I don't want to sit here and say that anybody that competes is unhealthy and disgusting and like they are struggling and they're probably in a horrible spot, because I'm sure there are people that are able to compete and able to maintain some sort of normalcy. Just from experience myself, it was a very hard thing for me to do. And from experience myself as well, I struggle with the fact that I did compete. Not too much, but I struggle with the fact that I made a whole series on my YouTube channel. Like, basically glamorizing it. I tried to show as much as I could of the negatives too, and like how hungry I was and how rough it was, but it was definitely, like anything on YouTube, right? It was a highlight reel of competing and struggling and counting macros and all that stuff and being very regimented and strict. And while there was definitely some positives out of competing, one of the positives was just realizing how much more dedicated I could be to something. Because before I competed, I actually had been working out for a good like 3 years before I even stepped on stage. Maybe maybe 2.5 years, but like pretty consistent almost every day in the gym, right? Not really missing. And so when I competed, well, when I look back at the pictures, it was pretty small. Like I was like, I competed, I was at 180 pounds. I weigh about 205 right now, right? Like, so I was small. But at the same time, I don't think I wasn't one of those people that got on stage that was like, whoa, like they just got kind of skinny, you know? I feel like I had a little bit of muscle. But so I learned a lot about myself. One, it taught me so I want to talk about like some of the good things for me. So one of the good things was it taught me how to be a lot better at eyeballing like macros because of how strict I had to be with tracking, right? And so that was definitely a good thing out of it. The second good thing was just mentality, realizing, wow, I can go from one extreme to another, because I made a whole video when I was actually going to start bulking for the show, which I did, and I got up to like 210, and I had a lot less muscle than I do now. So I look back at pictures and videos, I'm like, woohoo! I wasn't playing around. But I explained to people, I'm going to be gaining some weight, the people that were following me. But it made me realize that I was able to go from one extreme to another. So yeah, before I started bulking, I made a video explaining why I wanted to compete, and that was one of the reasons. And so that was a good thing. But I think the bad things, I don't want to say they outweigh the good things, because it's all brought me to where I am now, but I was skirting on a line that if I would have fell to one side could have been detrimental for me. And so that line was like food addiction, binge eating, just food issues, right? So for me, coming from morbid obesity, I had food issues. I ate all the time for any situation, happy, sad, mad, whatever. Food was my comfort. And then, so with losing weight, I struggled with over restriction. So it started with what I call the common sense diet, which was good, cutting out soda, junk food, like simple stuff that you're like, yeah, I probably shouldn't be eating that all the time. But then it got to be extreme of like, I'm going to cut everything out, stuff like that, right? And then when I competed, it was like, I'm going to cut out a lot of stuff. But then one of the good things was I understood macros, so I was able to still have, like, I would have some fun with my food. Like, I wasn't really labeling food as bad, which I think is one of the biggest things that can be scary for someone that competes, is like labeling food as evil. Like, I can't eat any cereal because that's bad for me. But I was restricting so much that I was scared that, like, I was genuinely terrified of when I stopped competing. So the way that I competed was I tracked macros. So I could technically eat anything I wanted, but as long as it fit my macros. And so, but for me, I like a lot of food. I like a lot of volume. So most of the foods I was eating would be considered healthy anyways, right? Like broccolis and, salads and stuff like that. But I would always save, like, at the end of the day, I would always save enough fat for 2 servings of peanut butter, because I would make oatmeal at night and I would eat a serving of peanut butter as I was making it. Like, I did that every night. And then one of the things I started doing, this wasn't a healthy habit, but I would like hoard my carbs until nighttime, right before I went to sleep. I would eat literally a whole pack of rice cakes, so 14 rice cakes.
I remember watching that on YouTube.
Yeah, so I would just eat a whole sleeve. So Sam used to follow me before we ever met.
Yeah, I was watching your whole series while I was on the treadmill for such a long
It's so
time
crazy
every day.
because it was the same competition.
Yeah, it's so crazy. But so I had some issues for sure, and I was terrified of when I was gonna be done competing. And everyone says like the rebound, like a lot of people, like I know Sharissa, you dealt with like gaining a good amount of weight like right after some of your shows and stuff, and that was really
Every
hard.
show.
Yeah, so I want to talk about that definitely. But like, imagine you're someone that comes from being morbidly obese and you're afraid of that happening. Like I was excited for the show, but I was genuinely terrified, because I told myself I'm not tracking after the show's done, because I was done. I was sick of it. Like, I had been tracking for like 4 years, like maybe 3 years, and every day almost. So I was just like, I'm done with that. But at the same time, I was done, but I was scared of what that meant. And by like the grace of God, I don't even know how to explain it, I was able to just rein it in. And I definitely gained weight, but it was like I've never got to a point where I had to lose weight like from the show. It's not like I gained 50 pounds. I was like, okay, I need to lose some weight. I gained, this was like 30 pounds over the course of over 3 years, So a lot of it I think is muscle, but that's besides the point. But so for me, kind of bring it back to the beginning of what I was saying, the issue that I've had was I romanticized that competition, and I've had a lot of people that have wanted to compete, because they saw that. And they're coming from a background of being really, really overweight. And so I hope that a lot of people actually message me, because usually when people talk to me about it, I try and be honest. I'm not trying to demonize competing, but I'm like, it's a big deal. So like, don't go into it thinking, like Jean was saying, don't go into it thinking, oh, I'm going to do this to get healthy, because it's not healthy. Like what you're doing, if you're doing it, I don't know how to say it. Like,
Well,
if you're doing it correctly, what?
Well, I think I wish I knew more things of what to be weary on before I did it.
Like what?
I heard people say like, oh, be careful with rebounding and stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, well, like I work out before this, you know, like whatever. But I wish I knew like all the mental aspects about it, like every detail that you need to be careful about, like after the show, like during, like all that stuff. And I get girls still to this day messaging me saying, do I have any advice for them? And I say it is a challenge if you feel confident in that, but I go on a list of things to be careful on, the things that I struggled with. And it took me a long time to get out of all those things that I did struggle with. So I think I wish I was more knowledgeable in that aspect before I did it.
I think that going back to multiple things, like, so how you found out about it was mostly Instagram, and it does, like, Instagram glorifies competing, and it shows you just like show day, which is like glitz and glamour.
Yeah.
So that's what girls want to do. But then there's also the girls that I think are attracted to it because of that, and that's like wants to kind of be their gateway into fitness, which I don't think that's a good gateway into fitness and into health. I think how I had kind of gotten into it was because I wanted to challenge myself, and I had been like working out for a while. It can be okay. I give power to the people that can like have a healthy relationship with competing, and then they can make literally a career and a lifetime out of it. And I like personally, I had got to a place where I decided that it wasn't healthy for me, and how I related to it wasn't beneficial to me anymore. And so like I had to let it go, because I, coming from a different kind of background than you, John, in that like I struggled with eating disordered tendencies out of like a fear of getting fat. So like having like anorexia, and then like having that fear after the show of like gaining weight, in which I did. I walk around right now at about 140. Prior to competing, I was probably about 135. That was my normal weight. But after each show, I got up to like 150 to 160 for like rebounding within a matter of like a month or two. And it was terrifying and doesn't feel good mentally or emotionally or physically. You just don't feel healthy whatsoever.
What was like the mindset that you would have when you would start to maybe notice things going, like the rebound kind of coming up? What would you tell yourself some things? Was like, what was going through your mind when that would happen?
Oh my gosh. I don't remember. It was kind of just, you would have a plan for your reverse diet. Like every time like I had like a plan, but I was coaching myself, so I didn't have anyone to hold me accountable to that plan. So it was kind of just like, it was almost like a loss of control. Like, cause you want to stay like on track. You want to like adhere to your macros. You want to like eat healthy, and you want to reverse diet, but it literally just like doesn't happen because hormonally, I think, because competing and cutting your calories so low, like you do like have this like insatiable like hunger that Stephanie Buttermore is probably experiencing, and you just want to like eat and eat and eat because your like ghrelin and your leptin levels are honestly like out of whack. Like your normal body like appetite awareness and like eating regulation hormones are just like messed up. And some people might consider that like an excuse or a justification, but I honestly feel like you don't have like a normal relationship with like food or eating and your body's like hormones to be able to like just be like, no, I'm not going to eat this ice cream. Like you just like do it.
I last podcast when I was editing it, I didn't like how negative I sounded, so I'm going to try to not be negative. I really don't like bodybuilding, and that's like not like a secret. Like it's not. And so for me, it's like...
Is it for all the reasons that we're explaining?
Yes.
Okay.
Because of the fruit of it. If you want to go to the gym, you want to do bicep curls, I don't care. I really don't care at all.
Yeah, you just went to the gym.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I have a regular gym membership along with my CrossFit membership.
Well, that's the thing,
But
is there's a difference
exactly.
between
so,
hypertrophy training and being a bodybuilder.
Exactly. So, this whole time, I'm trying to think of, like, why do I not like it? Like, why? And a lot of it is the fruit. Like, what? Like, how many YouTubers, how many Instagram girls are we following where they're talking about their daily struggles? Like, and it's because it stems from this relationship with food and bodybuilding and competing. Like, it's almost like, oh, they're a YouTuber. I wonder what they struggle with. You know, like, it's like, what, like, how frequent that and how they correlate so well, or so often. And like, I was just thinking, like, let's say that you see David Blaine and you're like, wow, he's a great magician. I want to become a magician. What is David Blaine doing? Oh, he's tying himself upside down underwater and getting out of this thing and go, like, that's what I'm going to do. You're going to die. Like, you're going to die if that's your first trick you try. And so when we're looking at these people who are at the top of their game and they're doing these bodybuilding competitions and stuff, and they think, oh, that's what healthy is, and they go and do it, it's like, no, that is not what healthy is. Healthy is finding a good balance where, before the podcast, you showed a tweet.
Oh, yeah.
Or
read
a tweet?
It was a tweet, yeah.
It was a tweet. And it was from Brett Contreras, the Booty Lab guy. You want to say it real quick?
The glute guy.
Yeah.
He said, many people I follow are perpetually in some phase. Hey guys, I'm on week 2 of cutting mass building mini cut phase. An alternative is just to go to the gym and lift and tighten up your diet every once in a while without labeling it. Fitness doesn't have to consume you.
I have a question that John, David, and I were talking about yesterday.
Yeah.
We were literally talking about, like, because we were talking about the extremes, and I was, like, asking him, and we were discussing, like, what do you think is, like, the pinnacle of, like, health? What would you guys, I want your opinions, your perspectives on what you think the pinnacle of health is.
Matt Frazier. No,
I'm sorry, but that's an extreme.
Yeah, he's a very balanced. He's a very balanced guy.
I mean, you know, training 8-9 hours a day.
Yeah.
So,
do you think that relates to the tweet that you were talking about?
Yeah, well, even when you were saying you don't, Jean, how you don't like bodybuilding, you don't think it's an extreme, you know, it's unhealthy, all that stuff. I literally thought of CrossFit. I'm like, I love CrossFit workouts, but all the CrossFit athletes that we idolize, we look on Instagram and stuff,
they're an extreme.
They're a total extreme, and they're killing their bodies every single day, and they could get unhealthy, even though they can run and jump and do stuff that maybe.
So again, like when I talked about my episode, how I hated CrossFit Games athletes' full day of eating. Why do I hate it? Because it's not relatable. It doesn't apply to people's lives. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to work out 3 times today, and oh, look I got sponsored protein, I got sponsored food, and I got sponsored this, like, and I got sponsored sleep. You know, like, or whatever.
My sleep number bed.
Yeah, like, it's like that is not it either. Like, and I totally get that, and and like I said, like the proximity normalizes things, and so. For me, my drug of choice is CrossFit, and so it's like, I have the inclination to want to go that way. But I think that healthy is a little bit more body fat than people think. It is definitely like, it's not that whole phrase about dad bod. Like, I wouldn't go that extreme. I think that's definitely an element of like, no, you're not being good to yourself, but. Like, if an athlete's body fat percentage is anywhere from, for a man, what is it, 11 to 16% or something like that in that area?
I'm not going to act like I know that off the top of my head.
I would say, you know, that the higher end of that is like an achievable person who has a full-time job, eats relatively well, but enjoys some time on the weekend with their friends or whatever, isn't going to say no when there's a cake at the office, like, and then also works hard in the gym. Like, if you're, and I don't want to put a percentage, I'm not saying that because everyone's different, but that general range of like the higher end of the athlete when you look at a body fat index scale, for me, I say that as like, yeah, you have fun, you get to enjoy life, but you also recognize that like you got to take care of this machine that we have and keep it going. And you can't, like, machine is just a metaphor, but like, you can ignore something, and you can also spend way too much time. And they're both extremes, and they're both not going to do that well for living a balanced life, because life is more than fitness.
So what I'd say, what was your question? I want to make sure.
Like, what is your opinion or perspective on what the pinnacle of health would be?
I think my pinnacle of peace pinnacle of what was the
Pinnacle of peace. Sam's in her own world
Health?
right now.
peace and joy. I think the pinnacle of health
Good job.
looks different for everybody. And I don't like the body mass index or what's the body percentage.
Yeah.
I know that's supposed to be like more accurate and stuff, but I don't like it. I don't like it because mine was really high. And I could probably lose like 5 pounds. Like I'm small. Like 5 pounds would look like a lot. But I just think you need to work on so many different aspects of yourself. And when you focus on more, the other ones like suffer.
Yeah. And
So I
then-
think it's just like a whole thing of you need to focus on these little things that make you healthy, in quotes, you know,
Yeah.
and just work on that.
And also, like, understand that, like,
Some people may function better at a lower body fat percentage, and some people might be better a little bit heavier.
and health is more than your body. Health is your mind, and health is your
That's what I
spirit.
said in my head.
Yeah.
In your head. Oh, great.
And so, like, you know, like, I did make a video 2 years ago, I think, where I was talking about, like, all right, how to have a healthy New Year. It was, like, right before the New Year's was coming. And I was like, cool, focus on your body. That's awesome. But, like, who are you hanging out with? And, like,
Yeah.
what are you doing to feed yourself spiritually? And, again, like, I think what has happened is that we take a facet of health, our physical, the most obvious one, and we go, this 33% of what health is, let's make it 100%. So in order to make that 100%, you have to go all out, go all in, be 100% extreme. And it's like, and you've lost your friends. And you've lost your job. And, you know, like, it's
You're
like,
homeless now.
yeah, but it's like, cool, you look good. Would anyone say you're healthy? I don't know.
Well, another,
Well, I would say most people that don't know you would. And
Yeah.
that's what happens, right? And most people that don't know you that see you on Instagram would.
Yeah.
You
like,
know,
they're
so
always
they-
outside.
But that's
You're so tan.
They're so dead.
yeah.
Kind of smell bad.
Why do you always carry around
your
that
best friend's
bag?
a cat.
You have nice abs though.
Yeah.
But so I think something that's interesting, kind of bringing it back to the competing and stuff, is I truly don't like putting dates on things, like when it comes to your health. So when it's like people, I want to lose, when I get the DM that says, I want to lose 30 pounds in 2 months, is that possible? I'm like, well, yeah, if you starve yourself, it's possible. I wouldn't recommend that. And it's
Yeah.
that's not sustainable. And so it's the same thing with competing. I think that the reason I think bodybuilding and competing gets such a bad rap is because, say if you're competing in like I did the marathon, right? Or say, surprise, I'm talking about the marathon again. But I did the marathon, or like when we do CrossFit competitions, right? Like we practice for those, we train for the CrossFit competitions. Like I had to go on a lot of runs for the marathon, but once I was done, it like that I got there, but it's not like when you compete for a bodybuilding show, the training is basically starving yourself, right? Like it's like you have to work out and stuff. Obviously that's important, but the training is all that matters is what you look like, right? All that matters is how lean you are, really. It's how lean you are. And then, you know, as like, you know, how does this muscle compare to that muscle, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff matters too. But it's mainly about how lean can you get. And so you do things to get very lean, and that's the issue, right? Because like for a marathon, yeah, you might do things like you might have to spend an extra hour running that you normally want to in a day. Or for a CrossFit competition, you might have to switch your workouts out because you want to do the workouts that are going to be at the competition. But when you do that, what's the detriment to that? Like for running, it's like not much. You're just going to be running a little bit more. Or the CrossFit competition, it's like not much. You're just maybe not going to be training with class, or you're just doing other workouts. But when it's competing, the detriment is your relationship with food gets jacked up. And I mean, this
Your relationship with others.
Yeah, your relationships with others. And then, I mean, there can be detriments for, like, marathon training, too, right? Like,
Injuries.
the detriments can be you are too focused on running. Like, there's bad things with everything. I think the reason that bodybuilding gets a bad rap is the issues that it can, like, psychological issues. And then on top of that, your self-worth, it's just hard. And again, this is definitely, I don't think this is everybody, but it's hard not to put your self-worth in your physique.
Yeah.
And so you end up thinking to yourself, I'm the most valuable when I am very lean.
Yeah.
And so the second you get off stage, you it's almost like a card getting off of a lot. Like the second it gets off stage, you're
loses
depreciating
value.
in value.
Yeah.
That's how you feel. You know, it's like the closer I was to that competition, the more valuable I was, and the further out I get, the less valuable I am because I've put on body fat. And for a lot of women, it's like necessary because you don't have your period anymore or whatever issues. Like it's definitely tougher for women competing, without a doubt. And so that I think that's why it's so dangerous is that date that is set and then those issues that come from that. You know?
I think just like going back to even the thing we were talking about before, like for me, like you and I were talking about the pinnacle of health yesterday, in my opinion, was like quality of life above all, like being able to like go enjoy fitness and work out. But then like if someone invites me to like a bridal shower or like to go out to get donuts, having the freedom like mentally and like physically be like, yeah, like I'll enjoy that donut, but then, and be able to have a social life, but also have a fitness life, but be able to, just quality of life like above all else is what I think like is the pinnacle of like health. Being able to, if you wanted to go on an awesome hike, if you wanted to go for maybe a 3-mile run or to hop in the pool and have some fun like swimming some laps, and just like being able to have fun and just like do whatever you want to do kind of like without like restriction, without like borders and stuff like that. But so I do agree that these extremes create these like boundaries to that, and they're not healthy.
Well, even thinking back, like when I was prepping for my show, it was 6 months. And I said no to so many things. And I'm an extrovert. Like, I like to go to everything. I said no to, like, going shopping because I was too tired. Or, like, going out to dinner. Like, I would pack my food everywhere I went. Like, Padre games. Like, all the little things with hanging with my friends or family, I'd have to say no to, or I would just be a bore, you know? And it's just, like, that's 6 months. That's half a year. And I just remember, like, looking back on all those times and being like, oh, my goodness. Because it's, like, when you're around it all the time, like Jean is saying, it's like, okay, you get used to it. Well, I wasn't around anybody who competed. I was just like, I guess this is what you do. Like, I don't know, you know? So it's weird to look back at.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know, it's just hard. Like, for me, like, kind of the thing that sprouted this whole thought process for me was I've been making videos on my channel about, like, the health at every size movement, and, like, what I'm critical, I would say I agree with a lot of what they believe. You can work on your health at any size. But, like, I'm critical of people that are, 600 pounds saying that they're healthy. I think that no matter who you are, like, that's unhealthy, right? And the same thing goes for, people that are very, very underweight. And then even more so, it goes for, like, just because you're competing and you're on a bodybuilding stage, like, that doesn't necessarily mean the pinnacle of health. That could actually be a very bad thing for some people. So for me, it's like the reason this kind of got brought up in my head was it's about finding that balance and being that middle ground. So it can be, maybe you are a little underweight, but, like, you're still healthy, maybe you're skinny or whatever. Mm-hmm. And maybe you're a little overweight, you have a little bit of extra fat, but it's like you're able to move, you're able to enjoy life, you're being healthy to your body. Again, it's when you go to those extremes is where I think that there's an issue, and that's kind of like where it got brought up in my head. So that's kind of why.
But what does healthy bodybuilding look like?
I think that, well, one, I would say it could look similar to what we've been talking about, but I think a big part of it is probably, like, genetics. Like, some people are genuinely just leaner. Mm-hmm. They sit leaner. They live, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that that's a big part, because some people, like, some guys, maybe your healthy regular set point is 20% body fat, right? I know I don't really know body fats, but I'm just using that as a number, right? And to compete, you want to get down to 6 or 8% usually for a guy. And so that's going to be a lot longer of a journey, that's going to take a lot more work than someone that normally sits at 11% body fat, or, so I think that's a big part. Mm-hmm.
I think it's also, we were talking about this yesterday, that, like, for me, if I have my druthers, like, I want to go out to breakfast and have, like, an egg white omelet and a waffle. I feel like for people that generally don't care about food and enjoy food, like, and, like, as, like, a social thing, like, it's literally, they think about it as, like, fuel for their bodies that they're just putting in their bodies because they need it to survive. Those can also be people that have a healthy relationship with bodybuilding because they're not looking to food for, like, oh, I want to have an ice cream because I just like ice cream and it makes me, like, feel good. They're literally like, yeah, I'm eating my chicken because it's protein. and it's fueling my body. Like those types of people can have that, I think, a healthy relationship with making that like a lifestyle, where for me, I have my preferences and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know what your guys' thoughts is about that, but I think those are the type of people that can be like healthy. They can make a lifestyle out of it where they don't mind like sticking to like a routine, like year in, year out of like staying lean, eating the same way, like training the specific way. Like there are people out there that can do it, I think. I'm not one of them.
Well, I think it just goes back to saying how I wish I knew more of the things to be wary on, because I think knowledge is power. And like even when I was doing my prep, I didn't count macros. I didn't know what they were. I wasn't knowledgeable in nutrition, and I've learned so much since then. So after the competition, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how many calories I was eating. I did it like after, remember, and it was like so low. But like when you, like after, I would eat the littlest amounts of food, because I'm like, this is what I was eating. I'm just going to go back to what I was eating, but maybe to eat a tiny bit more, and then I would just binge eat so much, because like, I don't know the girl's name on YouTube, but
Stephanie Buttermore.
yeah, how she has an insatiable hunger. I literally remember that feeling of eating so much and not being satisfied ever. And to be stuff like I would never have done prior.
So I don't need everyone to have sympathy for me, because that feeling you described is me every 4 hours.
Oh, whatever.
So
Is it about that time yet?
yeah, I know.
When did we
I
last
think we're
eat?
getting there.
It's
We're like
I think-
1:30.
I think that was a good question, because it does show that for a lot of people, it's probably not the best choice. And I doubt that there's many people that are listening to this that maybe are competing. It's like, I you know how I am. I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes. Like if it's something you want to do, go for it. I think more than anything, I'm not going to sit here and talk someone out of it. I think I want to at least let them know what they're getting into before they do.
So I think I'm more against it than I would normally be against things, because I'm typically like, whatever you want to do, just do it. Just don't make it affect me. You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna do your thing, do your thing. But like, I think because of how much wreckage I've seen, just being a YouTube fanboy, like a fitness YouTuber fanboy, watching all these pages, knowing about these people, and then being like, wow, like these people are the ones we're looking to for help, you know? And it's like, we're all jacked up, but like, this is a very specific, like this thread seems to run through all these channels. And because, like I said, like when you think of, okay, I'm going to get in shape again, it's always bodybuilding. Almost every time it's, let me learn my push-pull routine. Let me, how many days do I need to go to the gym? What does my split need to be? What is it that those are questions that are asked in the bodybuilding space. And that has become the American definition of what fitness is. And so then, therefore, who are the most fit people? They're the bodybuilders. How to become a bodybuilder? I do a show. And so it's like, I think the reason I'm so adamantly against it is because I want to disrupt that. I want you to have a faster mile and a heavier overhead squat. Like, I want those for you, as well as, like, let's enjoy your life and let's, I don't know.
Now that I'm on the outside of bodybuilding, like for example, we went to 24-hour fitness the other day and we were on the climbing mill, and I was just like had this glorious view of all these,
It's fun.
meatheads, if you will. And I was just like,
gym.
oh my gosh, like I can't believe that used to be me. And now that I'm on the outside looking in, it is just like, this is like ridiculous, because it's literally like the way that they were working out. It's like, so it's all focused on aesthetics. It's all focused on looks, where like now I've taken like a 180 and like I focus on like what my body can do, like overhead squats and push presses and like performance over aesthetics. And it's just I'm biased, I guess, now because I'm in the CrossFit like world, but it's about like, about what your body can do, and fitness being about what your body can do, not like doing these things specifically for how you look and making your body look a specific way. But I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm sure all of us here, we do care about how we look, but that's not our main focus. Like,
Did some booty work yesterday.
Like, health should be so much about like your heart condition, right? Not like your spiritual heart condition, like literally how much fat is surrounding your heart. Like when you posted that picture of like a healthy versus unhealthy, or it's like There's a scientific. You're not healthy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And so I just like thinking about like the bicep curl machine, like not even bicep curls, but the machine, the bicep machine, and it's like you got a good pump, but like, did your heart get affected at all doing that?
Maybe if you did like a super drop set.
Yeah, maybe.
I've been there.
Maybe, but it's still like I feel like the most important muscles we have are probably our brain and our heart. Right?
Is your brain a muscle?
I don't know.
It's
Or
an organ.
tissue or
It's an
something.
organ.
Yeah,
A tissue, yeah.
yeah. Your brain's important, but
Yeah,
like your
I
heart.
agree.
Okay, so your heart is like a very important muscle that you should be working out.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like isometric or
Yeah.
whatever hypertrophy, single based one
Isolation,
muscle,
yeah.
like movements are doing nothing for your heart.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
And go ahead.
Something that like I get kind of annoyed by is in the like bodybuilding space, not even just the bodybuilding space, just the almost like personal trainer space, weight loss space, is like there's these posts that are like how to lose weight without doing cardio. And like the main things is it's trying to explain that it's with diet mainly, but it's for me I'm just like, but you should do cardio. Like,
Oh, yeah.
why are we
So important.
Like, I get that you should promote and like explain to people that you don't need to do cardio, because a lot of people are those people that are on the elliptical for an hour and that's all they do because they feel like they need to do cardio to lose weight. I get that, but we shouldn't go so far. It's again the pendulum. It's always either here or here. It's never in the middle.
Yeah.
Why not say yes? You should maintain your calories, be in a deficit, whatever, but also do cardio, if not to try and burn more calories, which I don't think that's how you should focus on cardio ever, really, to increase your cardiovascular health.
And
Yeah.
there's different forms of cardio than just sitting on a Stairmaster.
Absolutely. And like that's where it comes back to, we enjoy CrossFit, but Charissa honestly doesn't do CrossFit that much. She does her own functional training, and it's actually really cool. She does it with Exos, but she writes a lot of it herself. I mean, a lot of it's very similar to like what we do at CrossFit, but it's like that solid training, that CrossFit too.
Well, the thing I was going to say was something that Exos and like the functional fitness world is really big into is training movements, not muscles. So that blew my mind up when I got away from bodybuilding. I was just like, what?
She was
Oh my gosh.
super
I was
bro.
like,
She was super bro back in the day, for sure.
but that like blew my world up, and like working for Exos has just like blown my mind as far as like just the difference in the way I train now and the way I think of things, and even just doing cardio isn't just for like your heart. There's benefits that show that doing cardio is a benefit for your brain because of the oxygen that it brings to your brain. And also just thinking in terms in like a lifestyle, like, and even the American Heart Association, for example, recommends at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity per week just for heart health alone. Or it's, I think, 75 minutes of high intensity, like cardiovascular workouts for like heart health. So it's not just for losing weight. And that's, I think, an unfortunate thing about, I guess you can say, in the fitness space, in the fitness world we're in, is that why is it so focused on like weight loss, like rather than being focused on building and developing and like curating a healthy lifestyle, like saying like, yeah, get more steps because it's beneficial for your health and it's going to help you be more creative. It's going to help your brain. It's not for weight loss.
And again, like that's why I've been I don't even want to say what's the word I'm looking for? Like, health at every size. I'm not a proponent. The opposite of that. What would be the word? I criticize it, right? So I'm critical of the health at every size. I'm not completely against it, because what you said is probably, I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the things they say. And I completely agree with that. I think that we should be focused on health, not weight loss. But a lot of times, all the things that you're saying that you should do result in weight loss, and that shouldn't be demonized, and it's demonized by a group of people, right? That's the issue that I have. You shouldn't demonize weight loss for people that they have healthier habits and weight loss is happening. You shouldn't be like, well, you shouldn't be trying to lose weight. I'm not necessarily trying to lose weight. I'm just increasing my cardio, or I'm going to the gym more, or I'm not eating, a whole cake every day, or whatever it might be, right?
Opponent.
Gee, I couldn't think of the word.
I couldn't think of it either. So
I was going crazy.
Google it.
Okay, and then the other thing I wanted to say, this was kind of what I was saying, is one of the good things about functional training and doing those types of workouts is like because for a lot of people, bodybuilding, like Jean was saying, that's the first thing you think of when you think of going to the gym. So for a lot of people that
And I lived that.
Yeah.
Like, that was the first thing I did. Was
Exactly.
Like, oh,
And-
I guess I'm going to get healthy now and do bicycles.
John, that's like you're not special because of that. Because it's like everybody, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so no, I mean, then like that's how I was too, right? Like that's the majority of people, I would say.
I was there too.
And so yeah, you were that too, right? So
Yes.
and when you do that, one, the progress that you see is very minimal.
Yeah.
At the start, like you almost see no progress for a while. One of the things, and so if you're somebody that is really overweight, and you're going to the gym, and all you're doing is like some bicep stuff, some like chest press or whatever, and then you're doing some cardio at the end. It's a lot harder to stay motivated there than say you do go to a CrossFit gym or you're doing functional training with you, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, I jumped on a box today. Like I never thought I could do that.
Yeah.
Or wow, like I could feel myself get deeper in a squat than I never, whatever. It might be like those little things, because I really think that motivation and like sticking to a plan, a lot of it comes down to just having those little wins every day.
I was going to say something along those lines because I've been in CrossFit for like 4 years now, I think. And so like the first year, like I said, I was like, I'm going to go every now and then, maybe like lose some weight. Second year, I was focusing on the bikini show. And the last 2 years, I think I've really focused on CrossFit and like going more. Like I would be like, back in the day, I used to go, well, now I'm just going to like work on like shoulders on this day and not go for the Olympic lifting because it was scary. And now like I haven't cherry picked the CrossFit workouts that I do. And I feel like now I can look back and I have improved so much. Like my clean has like doubled.
Yeah,
Like
I know. It's
I'm
crazy.
faster. I feel fitter. I like the changes I see in my body if we go that route too. So it's just crazy that the functional fitness, you can see so many different improvements in so many different aspects. And another thing in real life too is like I can go for a hike and not be winded. I can, like we did this thing in our church where we packed a bunch of meals and my role was the runner and I had to carry boxes full of food, and I was looking at all the other runners and they were just like big guys. And I was like, I'm just a little girl, and I like picked them up and I was like, do you need help? And I'm like, no, I got it. And I would just pick up all these boxes and run them and lift all these heavy boxes, and it goes into different areas,
And like, to bring it to the CrossFit space, not that I want to live there, but again, like I am more interested in functional fitness than I am CrossFit. The closest functional fitness gym to me is a CrossFit gym, right? Like, and I say that all the time. Like, people are like, "Are you gonna do CrossFit forever?" I'm like, I don't know, but I want to do functional fitness forever. But like, people aren't looking at Scott Panchik, who's incredibly strong, like one of the strongest people out there, and they're not going, but you really need to train your legs more. Like it's like that's not what's happening. That's like, to tie into what you were saying about like you're liking the way you look, like like people are always like, oh, but I don't want to look the way a CrossFitter looks or whatever. But it's like these CrossFitters, these functional fitness, these people, like they're the way they look is like a secondary thing, and it's like, yeah, but guess how many pull-ups I can do, and like guess how much I can squat. Like, this is so exciting. This is so cool.
It's literally
Yeah.
being like,
The
look
focus
what they're
changes.
doing.
Yeah.
Look what I can do, and not just look at me. And like that's what I mean by like, no one's saying that Scott Panchik needs to grow his legs. Like, he's like one of the strongest squatters in CrossFit, and he's kind of a small dude, like, and it's like that. Being impressed by what people can do versus how they look, I think one is just a generally better way to live, but then two is where like let's just use that example again. Scott Panchik and Matt Frazier, they're doing cleans. One hits 375, the other hits 375. One hits 380, the other one doesn't. Okay, that's objective. One hit it, one didn't. And they both go stand on stage, and it's like, all right, I like the guy on the left more. Guy on the left wins. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and so I like the objectivity of it, and that's why a lot of people who do bodybuilding end up going into powerlifting.
Yeah.
Because they use very similar movements, like of the whatever the
Squat, bench, deadlift.
The big lifts,
the
the
big
compound
lifts. There we go. And so it's like you're doing chest day, you're benching already.
Yeah.
You're doing legs, you're squatting already.
Hopefully.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. So it's like such an easy transition for a lot of people to be like, because they like that objectivity of it. It's like there's no like subjective one judge's opinion versus another.
Yeah.
It's literally like, did you hit the lift? You did? Great. Job
And-
well done.
I think too, I like focusing more on CrossFit, and I will say focusing more on functional fitness. So it can go both ways. the other day, Jean was like, "Your back's been looking pretty wide lately," and I was like, "Thank you." If you told me that like 2 years ago, I'd be like, "What?" I'm like, "No, I'm lifting
But I
heavier,
like
and I'm
it. It's like
proud of it."
she was like wearing a shirt that had like a strap in the back or something, and it was like her like back was just like right through that strap or whatever, and I was just like, "Dang, girl, like, you've been doing some strict
She was
pull-ups."
she was just walking around with the lats.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ever
Literally,
since
she was
then,
like, she was like
Invisible
"Thanks."
lats.
Thanks, I've been working out.
Okay, so to bring it back to like the functional fitness CrossFit stuff with like eating, one thing I've noticed is that it's been easier to make better decisions. I'm curious of what you guys think. It's been easier to. This doesn't go for Jean because he still eats pizza every day. I'm just
I have
kidding.
not had
You-
pizza.
he
you-
actually, I don't
know.
remember the last time
I
he's
know.
eaten pizza.
We've said it every. We know.
I know, every week.
He's doing better, but. So it's made it easier for me to make better decisions outside of the gym with food because of being, instead of just being focused on how I look, it's focused on how I feel, right? Because if I feel like garbage when I go into the gym, I don't like that. Like I want to feel good because I want to perform good. And so it's been easier for me to make better decisions, like, you know, having a stir fry at night versus like eating cookies and, you know, a bunch of stuff that I'm going to wake up in the morning because I work out in the morning and be like, oh, all right, now I'm going to go run. Like, don't really want to do that with my full, like, what is it? The meme was like, I'm full of chocolate. Like, I don't want to be that kid that's like running.
Well, I remember the feeling of when I was struggling with all my food things, and I would eat so much on Sunday, and on Monday at CrossFit, I'd be like, I feel this. And I haven't felt that in like a really, really long time.
One time for the open,
Oh, gosh. Oh, my gosh. This story.
my brother had asked me to film him, and he was in the heat before me,
It was very nice of you to do that.
and I was hungry.
So I appreciate it.
So I had a turkey sandwich in one hand.
No, it wasn't turkey.
It was a turkey.
It was roast beef.
It was roast beef.
Was it roast beef?
Yeah.
It was roast beef.
Gosh. So it was roast. It was some shredded meat, or like
Oh,
some.
it was corned
sliced-
beef because it was around. It was around St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
Corned beef. I remember that.
I don't know.
I do remember that.
But it was
Yeah.
a sandwich, and it was I
You
had a sandwich
mustard,
in one hand,
you had like mustard in it and
and I
stuff
had a
like that.
camera in the other hand. I'm like eating it while he's doing it, and then I had to do the next heat.
It was like 15 minutes later.
yeah, I had to do the next heat, and I was rowing, and I literally was like, "Oh no!" Luckily, nothing happened, but
I remember that.
I remember I was rowing, and I was just thinking like that sandwich was such a bad idea, but I needed it because I was hungry. So, needless to say, it hasn't changed much for me. But I don't eat burritos. Like, if I know I'm gonna go like dirty burrito,
Dirty
which
bird.
I do sometimes, it's always on Wednesday night if I do it, because Thursday typically I take the day off. And
Okay,
so it's
he
like-
does take the day off every Thursday.
Yeah,
And he said
He doesn't
typically.
typically
It's always
every
I worked out this Thursday
He did because
because the CrossFit Games.
Yeah.
and I didn't work out, so I was.
And you didn't work out Wednesday.
I'm. You guys don't understand.
this is an intervention for John.
No. It's not an intervention. I am so comfortable taking a couple days off. The
Yeah,
gym.
no, that's good.
If
I'm
my
not.
body's hurting, if I'm sore, if I'm not feeling it, I am so comfortable being like, no, I'm taking 2, 3. I've taken a week off the gym before if I'm just not feeling it, and then I come back and I'm like stoked again, and like I'm totally okay with doing that. And I think there's an element of like that healthiness there, like where it's like, no, I'm gonna take a week off. I'm gonna just not work out because I know I'm gonna come back stoked.
I don't feel comfortable.
And we
doing
talked
that.
about this on the podcast before, where it was like literally the last time the girls were on, and I was saying I don't enjoy going to the gym. Like I do enjoy it, but it's not like some like intrinsic thing. It's something where I'm like I'm going to go to the gym because I want to feel better, and I feel better after I go to the gym. But
I still don't believe that, but whatever.
Wednesday night will get myself a burrito.
A dirty
and then,
burrito.
and then
Yeah.
not go to the gym.
You haven't
the
done that
next
in a
day.
while, though, that I know of.
No, I haven't done that in a while.
Okay.
I've been pretty good since we moved in here. It's been about a month strong.
Yeah.
Been looking like a little snack, you know?
Yeah, and those shorts you got. Oh my! Can you tell that story, please?
Yeah, so I bought a pair of shorts from Target, and they were too big. And I was very sad about it.
So you bought them because we moved
Swim
in here
shorts.
and there's
a pool.
here.
I bought a pair of swim shorts because there's a pool, and we went to Target, and I was like, it's still hard for me to believe my waist size. Honestly, that's a true thing. I still think that I'm bigger than I actually am.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got a large pair of shorts because that's always what I would buy. And I was like, I don't want to go medium. Like, I'm not a medium. I'm a large, extra large. And so I bought a large pair of shorts. They were too big. Instead of
Way
taking them
too
back,
big.
I'm just like, it's fine. Like, I'll just wear them. But they were only $7. I wasn't too worried about it, and I was going to keep those shorts while I look for another pair of shorts. Well, since my mind thought about shorts once, that's all Instagram was showing me in the ads. And so there's this ad that showed up and it said, free pair of swim shorts, all you do is pay for shipping. And I was like, that is such a good deal. And so I buy it. The shipping was $15 because it was from China, which they don't let you know before you buy it. You just think you're buying, like it was like brand new company, free shorts to like get our name off the ground kind of thing. And so I buy the shorts, shipping from China. It takes about a month for them to get here. It took a very long time for them to get here. And I finally got them yesterday. Is that when it came?
Friday.
2 days ago, yeah.
And I'm so stoked. I literally ran to the mailbox, grabbed it, ran back, opened them in the bathroom to change, and I'm just like, oh no. I knew they were too small just by like glancing at them. But I waited a month. I was going to get them on. And so I shimmy them up my calves. I have to like do a little squeaky up my quads, jump to get them over my butt. And I come walking out, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think these are going to work. And so that was
He was like, maybe I should... He's like, I'm going to wear these to the... He was like, maybe I should wear them to the pool. I was like, can you even sit down?
The answer was no. The answer was no. I could not sit down.
Oh,
They fit me pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, they
Same.
fit Sharissa and Sam perfectly.
So they're...
just
I
get
literally
an
had my,
idea of
my
how I
workout
tried to
leggings
fit
on
into
and
those.
just put them on
Me
over them. I
too.
was like, look at
They
it.
Yeah, I
look
was
like a child's medium is what they look like.
Yeah,
They're
so-
very small.
They had little shirts.
You don't
on
like
them.
no one needs to tell me don't buy things for free from China. I know that. I didn't know they were from China. They just
Yeah.
said free pair of shorts, and I'm like, awesome. And once I bought it, I saw that it was from China, and then everything started kind of going like, this could end up bad.
But it's already month's gone, so
Yeah,
let's see. It was
so-
funny.
The brand was Hakua,
Hakua.
HAKUA. If they show up on Instagram for you because the algorithm heard that name mentioned, don't buy them.
Or if you do, buy like 4 sizes bigger than you
Yeah.
normally
Yeah.
would.
Yeah.
Because maybe I think maybe a double XL would have fit you in
Maybe.
those shorts.
Maybe.
Would you order a medium?
Yeah. You told me to.
What?
because I bought large and they were too.
I didn't know
the
they were
larges
from
too
China.
big.
Okay.
I didn't know they were from China either.
So basically, Jean's going to need to go to Target and get $7 shorts again.
Yeah.
Well, they were on sale, so
It was
they
the
were
best
actually
deal.
$10.
They were $10. They're on sale for $7. But it was
Very
a
nice.
good deal, and I really enjoy the Target shorts. I'm afraid to jump in them or like jump out of the water because they're.
You don't want to scare
I
the
feel like-
children.
yeah, I might. Yeah, I might become registered.
Might end up on a list.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. Cool,
Oh,
guys.
man.
Well, that was a good episode.
Yeah.
Any last words you want to say?
I don't know if we answered his question, but for me, the eating stuff, like, now I just kind of like, I eat what I want to eat with a mixture of health.
What about you, Sam?
I still track my macros. Kind of.
Do you really?
I loosely track. I plug
She
something
does.
into MyFitnessPal every single day. It's easier to do it during the work week because I usually plan everything and I hit around the same calories every day. And the weekend, I'll if I don't know it off the top of my head, I'll plug it in.
So if you're eating the
And I
same
weigh
stuff,
everything.
so if you're eating the same stuff, I'm just curious as to why do you feel like you need to track it?
I don't know.
Because that's
I think
I
it's
eat
just a habit.
I eat very
I
similar.
think it's a habit and I eat similar every day. But I don't know. I can eyeball things. I still weigh it.
Yeah, it's funny. The only thing I weigh is oats.
Yeah,
because
well,
it's
oats
just
I
like
can.
for me, I do 120 grams, and
I do 40.
I'll like pour it in, and I'm like, oh, that's probably close, and I'll look, it's 70 grams, and or sometimes I'm like, oh, that's pretty close. I'll look, it's 160 grams. I'm like, yeah, I should probably weigh this out. But that's like
Yeah.
literally the only thing. I don't even track that. I just weigh it, and then everything else, like the peanut butter I put, I'm like, it looks close.
Yeah, I don't know. I weigh everything. And then when we
Interesting.
meal prep, I weigh everything. And I weigh yours too.
Yeah.
You don't. We weigh.
We weigh it. You usually cut and I
Yeah.
put in.
But like that's fine though, right?
Yeah.
Like that's for you.
But
That
I finally feel comfortable going out and choosing something on a menu and not feeling guilty about it. Because remember, when we first started hanging out, we would go out to lunch, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, do you think this is okay to order? John David, what do you think?
Yeah.
And you'd be like,
And
I
you'd
don't
be
care.
like, can I get this with egg whites and turkey bacon and know this and know
But
that?
I still order
and
that.
You still like it, but like now you like it.
Yeah.
Before it was like
I
this is
prefer
what
egg
have to
whites
order.
versus eggs. But I'd be like, do you think it's okay if I put creamer in my coffee? Oh, I already had one serving of creamer today. I weighed out. I don't think I should. Like, I would be so anxious about it, and I wouldn't like eating out. And now I'm like, oh, like Sharissa said, I'll get some egg whites and a waffle. Like, that's perfect for
And
me.
I think one thing that's important to say is that it's a journey for everybody. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay if you feel like you're in a season where you have to track everything and you have like I think that's fine. And I think that's important. I think for a lot of people it's important, especially if you're coming from not tracking anything and definitely over consuming a lot, going out to eat all the time. I think that learning how to track and being pretty meticulous with it for a few months, maybe 6 months, is very important
It
skill to
teaches you
learn.
so much.
Exactly.
That's when I tracked macros. Oh my goodness. I think I started tracking macros in like 2012.
Yeah.
Like long time ago. And I competed for 3 years, and I was tracking for like 2 years before I competed. So I tracked for like 5 years, and it taught me so much about, carbs, proteins, fats, like in food. So now like I am very confident in my knowledge of serving sizes and portion sizes and being able to eyeball things and trust myself to be able to go out to eat and like be able to eat within what I think my caloric needs are for like the day and for like each meal. So like I do believe that tracking is an awesome thing for people to do because it brings so much awareness to your eating habits and how much you eat and helping to teach you about food.
And I think like tracking is just
A tool.
yeah, but tracking is the budget for food. You know,
Yeah.
like that's what it is. And
Yep.
so like a budget is a good idea. It's a great idea. You should absolutely have a budget. Your budget should not rule your life, right?
Yeah.
Like you can make the budget can rule your life and you have no fun because you're sticking to your budget. The same thing with tracking. Like yes, know what food is, know how it's made and what it's made of and how it affects your body. Like know that for sure. And then maybe there's a time, maybe you're overspending all the time and you really need to focus on your budget so that you can gain healthy spending habits. It's the same thing with tracking. Like maybe you need to just get on point for a while so that you can learn, oh, this food is this much, this is this makes me feel this way, whatever. And then now you have like a baseline to go off of.
Yeah. It was like the meme that even you shared, like, it doesn't need to consume you. I was actually working with a nutrition client earlier this week, and it's like the phrase, like, so if we were to go out and go shopping right now, like, do I really need a new pair of Metcons? No. Like, same with, like, if I went out to, like, eat, like, do I really need to get dessert? No, so I'm not going to, where I don't think people, it's a skill. It's definitely a skill to be, like, learned, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I said that because I don't. It's like if you're just getting into tracking, it will take a lot more time because it's a skill to learn. But I just don't want people to feel like, oh, I shouldn't track ever. I think it's something that everybody should learn how to do.
I think for sure
So,
everyone should
I just
know how
wanted to
do
make
it.
that clear.
Sometimes, like, it'll be, like, a day in the middle of the week, and Jean would be like, ooh, should we get, like, frozen yogurt? Okay, you never really said that. It's
That's
usually
not
me.
me. Nope.
But, like, say an example, like, and I'm like, no, like, I already tracked everything. I don't need to. But sometimes it's like, no, like, I'm hungry. Like, I can go for a snack, you know?
I
So-
think it's like your relationship to
Yeah.
things. Like that's always what I come back to. Like being in context to how like you relate to something. Like I know for me personally, I can be an extremist, so I can go from one end to the other. Like I could become obsessed with it. So I think if it's this context where someone like feels like they have to and they live and die like by like John was saying like the budget of like tracking your macros, where you feel like you have to and like you get anxiety without like tracking, maybe you need to kind of check your heart on that.
Check your heart.
Check your heart.
Check your heart.
Awesome. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
Thanks, ladies, for coming on again.
Thank you for
Appreciate
having
it.
us.
And
Awesome.
we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.